Part 9A, Processing Directory/Data Protection Impact Assessment, the Processing Directory. In this part we would like to introduce you to the processing directory in DPD-EASY. Let's change to the directory. In addition to the overview of technical organizational measures, the list of processing activities is the most important data protection documentation. The list of processing activities is the overview of all processing operations in which personal data are collected and processed. The descriptions of the processing activities must contain all information necessary to assess whether processing complies with data protection law and thus serve the accountability required by data protection law. In addition, they must contain all information the data subjects must be informed about, obligation to inform, or if the data subjects ask for information, that must be answered, obligation of information. The list of processing activities consists of two sections. In the upper area, all the processing operations that exist within the scope of the activity of the institution are listed. In the second area, all video surveillance systems that a facility has implemented are listed. Video surveillance is a special case of processing activities in which video recordings of the data subjects are recorded and processed instead of data. In one version, a total of 106 processing operations and 20 video surveillance can be documented. In the second column, processing and video surveillance can be enabled and disabled. Deactivated processing is no longer displayed in the reports and overviews, as well as in the print view of the processing directory. The following column shows the description of the processing. The next column contains the link to the registration form of the processing or the video surveillance. The forms are presented in Part 9B, Description of the Processing Activity, and 9C, Description of Video Surveillance, of the Video Manual. In the case of processing operations involving a high risk to the data subjects, a data protection impact assessment must be carried out. In order to check whether a data protection impact assessment needs to be carried out, each processing and video surveillance is linked to a threshold analysis, which can be accessed via a link in the following column DPIA. This form can also be used for a data protection impact assessment. The form is presented in Part 9D. The next section shows which categories of data subjects are affected by the respective processing. The third to last column contains the date on which the processing was introduced. The next column contains the date when the processing was last revised. Here, too, a revision cycle is implemented and you can see in the last column when the processing needs to be revised again and whether this deadline is imminent or has already been exceeded. The length of the revision cycle can be adjusted in customizing. End Part 9A.